Hey, Tom here, FlipAnything USA. On my blog, I talk about how I built my real estate empire, starting at 19 and millionaire by 28. And I've been doing it ever since, and that's been a long time, and I've made a ton of money, and I continue to do the same thing today. So I got interviewed the other day by Manny over at 2,000 Books. You'll see it coming out. Also got interviewed by another big YouTuber, Bulldog Mindset, John Sonmez. Both those guys are friends of mine. They've been to visit me at my home, and I've showed them around, and they had an interest in real estate, and I try to mentor them with their dealings when they need help. But Manny was particularly interested in owner financing, and so I realized, you know what, really, owner financing, and I know this already, but you kind of forget, because I've become a pretty wealthy guy, and now I can pay cash for pretty much everything. But I still look for owner financing when I can get it. And if you're just starting, you especially should be interested in it at any age. My first deal, the first deal that I bought, was owner financed, and that was me, 19 years old, buying a 6,000 square foot kind of an industrial / commercial building. It's something I would call a flex space today with the kind of real estate that I own. I maintain about 150,000 square feet of property that I own, and that number varies a little bit because I'm always selling something, but for the most part I probably got a net solid 130,000 square feet that I just always keep, because I'm a cash flow guy. I love the income from my rentals, and but once in a while I'll sell some rentals to buy better rentals. But so let's talk about owner financing, and I'll breeze through it a little bit quickly. Some of you understand what it is, some of you probably don't have a clue, but the bottom line is, when somebody owns a property and they're willing to sell it to you for an amount that, in other words, they're not necessarily needed to be cashed out. Okay, now they may owe money on it, and they may be able to do what we call a wraparound and sell to you, or you may be able to assume their first, that they owe on, and then you can take their second. But let's just start from the most basic. So I have a property that's I own outright, and now somebody wants to buy it from me, and let's just say I want $30,000 cash. Well, they don't have the cash, but I still want to sell it. Well, I want them to have some skin in the game, so I say, well, look, give me $3,000, and I'll carry the balance of $27,000 at, say, 10%. And 10%'s high at today's rates, but that wasn't high when I started. 10% was the norm. And the reason 10% was the norm is because you could get 10% interest on your money in the bank. And I go back quite a ways here, right? We're talking early 80s. And so, but it's still the same. Nothing's changed on that. So when you find a property, if you find a property that someone's owned or someone's inherited, or, there's all kinds of things that happen, but people end up having property that they own outright, and it could be just they paid on it for 15, 20 years, and now it's paid for. That happens. I have a lot of that stuff myself now. And I've carried property, meaning I've owner financed for people, and then it makes it also easier when I go to people and say, look, just carry the note for me. And so basically it allows you to, I'll just take you through my first deal. My first property, the 6,000 square foot property, I was 19, I was looking for a place to rent. And the agent, it was really tough times. Things were not good, the economy wasn't good, building was way down, interest was real high, economy was not good. And my old boss's building was available. He'd gone bankrupt, and his property was foreclosed on and went back to the owners. Well, the owners turns out they wanted to sell it or they wanted to rent it. And so the agent I was dealing with, he happened to be the guy that they listed the property with. And he said, I was looking for a place to rent. And he says, well, hey, how'd you like to buy this? And I said, well, you know, it'd be great, except I don't have any money. I can barely cover rent right now. And he says, well, that's okay. Maybe we can. And he's the one who introduced me to owner financing. So he explained to me that, you know, look, you come up with a down payment, you know, say 10 grand. Can you get 10 grand? I said, well, I can get 10 grand in 6 months. And he says, okay. He says, well, so we structured the deal 6 months escrow, meaning they agreed to sell it to me and we're going to close in 6 months. And during that 6 months, I asked to be able to occupy the property. And a lot of people normally wouldn't do that, but the way I sold that is we sold it, he helped me, is I said, excuse me, I said, I'll occupy it for the 6 months prior to close and to avoid vandalism of the property, because there was some vandalism on the outside of the building a little bit. And I was kind of leveraging it to scare them, and so they'd get to see it my way. And they did. So they let me move in. They never saw me. I never met the owners. And again, I was 19. They had no idea I was just 19. I don't even know what the agent told them. But I was not a good risk. From the outside looking at me, you wouldn't think that maybe I would be a guy that could do it. I had long hair, bloodshot eyes because I had terrible allergies. Looked like I was high, although I was not. And but anyways, there were some things working against me just in my youth, but it didn't matter. So I bought the property, and not long after I bought the property, I went out in front of the building, you know, pulling weeds or something. The for sale sign was still on the building, and a guy stopped, and he says, hey, he goes, how much they want for that building? And I said, well, I bought it. And so it's not for sale. And he says, well, what'd you pay for it? And so I told him what I paid for it. And he goes, I'll give you $20,000 more than you paid for it right now. And I was like, wow. Now, I wasn't interested in selling, but I can do math, right? And what I'm thinking is, I have $20,000 equity. I have $20,000 that this guy will hand me right now for this building if I give it up. So in my mind, I just made $20,000 in 1 day, or in 1 minute, or in 1 second if I'd have said yes. And now think back that I told you it took me 6 months to save 10 grand, and that's only because I didn't have to pay rent during that 6 months. So I'm thinking, geez, it just took me 6 months to save 10 grand, only because I didn't have to pay my rent. And I go, and now I just made 20 grand in 1 minute on the deal. And that opened my eyes to real estate, and I was lucky enough. So just think about that. I'm 19 years old, and I've been introduced to owner financing, something I never knew was possible, and most of you probably don't either. And it doesn't require a bank. There's no credit checks. You could have horrible credit. I just didn't have any credit because I was so young. That is a huge, huge thing for somebody that in other words, the sky's the limit. There are no rules. You can get financed for whatever anybody's willing to let you, trust you to make payments on. And it's not 100% trust. The properties, the amount you owe is collateralized by the property that they're selling. So they can foreclose and take it from you if you don't make your payments. So this was a huge eye-opener. And after that, I began looking for more and more, owner finance deals. And I just started looking for real estate so heavy. And you'll see in my book, I got a book for $10. You can get it. Anyways, it's a fantastic deal for $10. $20 if you get it paperback. Anyways, got a lot of great reviews. Take a look at it down below. But I don't care if you buy the book or not. I'm just talking about real estate right now. Anyways, so the fact that I was able to buy that and get that at such a young age, and then I started looking for more of the same deals, and I started to find some deals that required all cash, and I didn't have cash, so I found a partner. The partner came in and came up with the money, and we split the profit on the next deals that I started finding. And I have all that in my book, how to find those kinds of deals, but and on my videos you can watch too. You don't have to buy the book, but anyways, what what I learned is that there's great potential for me to be able to buy without a partner. And so these properties that I was finding that required a partner that were all cash, I made those deals and I took half the money and he got half the money, whoever was my partner at the time. And then pretty soon I had my own cash, my own capital, because I'd made enough money off these small deals. And so now I could go buy a property. And when I did the next one that I did, I found a couple that were owner financed. I also found, back then they had a thing called FHA loans. And the FHA loans at that time that were created, say in the 70s and the 60s, well, they were assumable. So in other words, I could buy a property from somebody, and if they owed 17, 20, 40,000, whatever they owed on their FHA loan, I could just assume it. There was no qualifying, there was no question, there was no application. I could just simply assume that FHA loan, and I did do that on some properties, some deals. Now others where people owned them outright, I just simply make the case. I'd say, hey, what are you going to do with the money that you get if I pay you cash? And because I'm trying to talk them out of taking all cash. If they have to have all cash, I got to go find a partner, or I got to go find somebody to loan me some money. And back then, probably the only chance I'd get is finding a partner and splitting the whole amount of profit, which I did not want to do. So I'd always try to talk them into owner financing. And the case I make, and I still make it today, is I go, look, if you're just going to put the money in the bank's going to loan the money to me at 5 times the interest rate that they're going to pay you. So why don't you be the bank? Why don't you carry the note, and I'll pay you the same interest rate amount that the bank will. And I would also tell them, saying, I'll pay you off completely in 3 or 4 years. So it would have a schedule of payments that would take 10, 15, 20 years to pay off. But I'd say, I'll pay you off completely in 5 years. And that's okay, because by the time 2 or 3 years goes by, if I keep it, I'm just going to resell it to somebody else, make a profit. They can assume the note, or they can come up with cash and I'll pay off the note, or whatever I got to do. Or in some cases, like that first building I ever bought, before the note came due in 10 years on that one, I just refinanced it, because now I started at 19, but by the time I was 25 or so, I actually had credit. I actually just bought a 3,000 square foot home, put 25% down, and I bought a big, beautiful home. And I mean, I was rolling. I was already damn near a millionaire by 25, just because of all the real estate I had acquired. And so I was already had my credit going by the time I was 25. But what I'm saying is, the owner financing, regardless, I'll take that. I would even pay a little bit more interest for owner financing than I would with the bank, because it's so easy. There is no application. There is no variables and credit checks and all the stuff that you go through to get a regular loan, a standard loan. You don't have any of that with owner financing. It's just pretty much, hey, let's make a deal. I'll pay you over time, and it's much more relaxed, much more casual kind of setup. And so that's why it's really important, young or old, good credit or bad, doesn't matter. The owner financing is great, because if you can close very quickly. If somebody is willing to carry a note, you can close tomorrow. As long as the title's clear, you make a deal and you close tomorrow and say, well, you'll start accruing interest on what I owe you starting tomorrow. Let's just write it up and get this deal closed. And so that's important. And but those deals are out there. You just have to enlighten the person that's selling the property to the idea of owner financing. And it's really no different than any other contract that you're going to buy property for. People ask these questions, so I'm telling you, you make a deal, you just write the terms instead of just the terms of like 10,000 down, balance all due in 30 days. It's 10,000 down, and the balance will be paid over the next 10 years at 5% interest, amortized 20 years, all due and payable in 10. Or if you want to keep it forever, or you want to pay on it forever, and you can make it fully amortized 20 years if you want, or not. It doesn't matter. But if you're buying it under market, that's your hedge. If you ever get into tough times, you can sell the property for more than you paid for it and get out from under the deal you made by selling it to somebody else. In fact, as I'm driving here, we just passed a restaurant that I used to own, and I bought that for $50,000 down. I paid $750,000. Maybe I paid $720,000. I think I paid $750,000. Anyhow, let's just say $750,000. I paid $750,000, $50,000 down, and then the balance, the $700,000. I made payments on that at $2,200 a month. Now that's really low on a $700,000 loan, but the reason that is because I got a 3%. I negotiated a 3% interest rate, super low. I mean, if depending on who you're dealing with, you could negotiate a 0 interest rate if you wanted to. It's that's the beauty of owner financing. You can be as creative and make any deal that you can make that the owner and seller agree to. So anyways, hey, I just wanted to get something out this morning. Sorry, I got terrible allergies this morning, and so sorry about the coughing. But so look, trust yourself. You can do it. You got to understand, when you're talking to people and making deals, you can make any rules you want. You can create. You can have your financing can be as creative as you can get away with the person you're making a deal to buy with. Some people, they need the financing to be creative. Sometimes they don't even want the money. Sometimes they want it to close next year, not this year, for tax purposes. There's all kinds of reasons sellers will work with you in a lot of different ways, and a lot of them are wealthy, and they just soon, like right now, nobody wants to put their money in the stock market. They're scared to death of the volatility. And, right now, if they're buying, I guess maybe they're buying at a low because of this coronavirus scare. It's one of the reasons I don't buy stocks. It's too news sensitive. I don't like it. But, and look at here, all this stuff's going to hell, and I got a lot of friends that have a lot of money in stocks, and, they're not enjoying what's going on right now, and I'm totally unaffected. Not affected at all. Even if my values go down a little bit, and I'm selling about $2.5 million worth of houses right now, if you're following me, so you know. But even if I sell those $2.5 million in houses for $2 million, it's not that big a deal to me, because if my stuff went down in value 20%, then guess what? So did everything else in the neighborhood. So, and I buy relative to the market. So no matter what, I'm buying based on what the value really is. And if it's, if it was worth $2 million last week and today it's worth 1.5, then I'm going to get a deal based on that 1.5. I'm going to get it for a price significantly less than the 1.5, so I can turn it and flip it right away. And that's the beauty of buying, just being purely a value-driven buyer. You buy on what it's worth today. You'll never get hurt. And the other thing is, people say, oh, what should I buy? It doesn't matter. Should I buy houses? Oh, no, I should buy a duplex because then I can live in one side. That's really a limited way of thinking. Don't just get all that crap out of your head. That's ridiculous. If you want to be a long-term investor, do that, okay? But if you want to get wealthy much faster, then what you need to do is open yourself up. Listen, I've been in Compton, okay? That is like one of the roughest neighborhoods in the world, okay? I mean, everybody has bars on their windows. Even the businesses have bars on the windows. I remember going to a business just to ask for directions. And I look in, and the girl's looking at me, kind of looking up at me like this and then looking down. And I'm hitting the buzzer, and she's ignoring me completely. I don't know. Maybe she thought I was a cop. This is a long time ago. I was pretty young. And and I've been to tax sales in Compton, and I've gone into houses where there's needles all over the floor, and the place is just a drug-infested mess. And it's like, oh my God, I'm afraid to touch anything, In fact, I pulled a pistol out before I walked through the house, and, just tucked it in my pants because I was a little bit concerned. And I just could not make sense of buying anything. But I still went to the tax sale, and I saw just about every property that I looked at sold. $75,000. This is back in the 80s. Everything sold. So my point is, you may look at something as an absolute scary dump, or you might look at a piece of desert land as like, nobody's going to buy this. Is out in the middle of nowhere. Guess what? There's a buyer for absolutely everything. Just because you don't need it, just because you don't want it, doesn't mean it isn't of value to somebody else. Every property, if there's an owner on it, it had value at one point because somebody owns it. So everything has a value. You just got to make sure you don't pay full price. You want to make sure you buy it under whatever the market is. You know, you look at industrial properties, you look at all kinds of stuff. You know, I kind of kicked myself for not buying a flag lot that I showed you guys the other day. A flag lot, if you don't know what that is, it's like this. Here's the main road. There's a little artery, a little like the flagpole up, and then the lot's up here, okay? Like a flagpole, and then there's the flag lot. I regret not buying that. And one of the reasons I thought, you know, I kind of like more exposure, more street. Didn't matter. I screwed up. I should have bought it. And this is one I screwed up right in front of you guys. I could have bought it 6-8 months ago. But it happens. And you got to remember, just remember, there's no bad real estate. There's just bad real estate deals. Okay? There's no bad real estate. Just bad deals. I mean, obviously you don't want to buy something, you know, that has a a wash running through the middle of it and it's unbuildable. Or, you know, I bought properties that have earthquake faults near them, and you have to check and make sure there's no fault running through the property because you can't build on top of an earthquake fault. But you can be in a fault zone, you can be near it, but you just can't make sure you're not on a scarp, I think they call it. I can't remember what they call it. But I used to pay engineers to check out the lots that I buy before I buy and make sure they were buildable. So again, trust yourself, get out there, start looking for property. You can make $1 million in a very short time. And, you know, even if you just make a couple $100,000, I mean, it'll change your life in a way that's very positive, right? And, you know, a couple $100,000, if you have zero, a couple $100,000 really enhance your life a lot. So, but it's fun, you know, if you develop a passion for property and looking at it and enjoying what values are and gee, what's land worth and what's industrial worth and what's commercial worth and what's the difference. I mean, I love it, and I have a broad knowledge of everything, and that's why I own some of everything. And you know, I could probably be even a lot wealthier than I am if I just concentrated more. But you know what? That's the beauty. I got plenty of money. I can do whatever I want. So I don't have to live for every dollar. That's why I'm sharing with you right now. I don't really care. Use this information, go make some money. So anyways, hey, be sure to share, subscribe, buy my book. If you don't like it, send it back. If you can't invest $10, I'm telling you, you're not very serious about making money in property. You know, people go to these seminars and get scammed out of tens of thousands of dollars. They go to a free seminar and they walk out $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 light on their credit card because they get scammed. The people that are selling these seminars don't know shit about real estate. They just know about sales. And they're not there to sell real estate. They're there to sell you shit and take money from you. So be careful. Be careful. Spend $10 before you spend 10 grand, okay? Anyhow, take care. Please share, subscribe, hit that like button, and hit the notification buttons. We'll do some live stuff. Thanks.